Right.
Well, happy Monday, everyone. What a great way to start off Monday with my special guest, Sylvia Adler, whom I'll introduce to you shortly. You're listening to the Dr. Laurie Davis Show, and we're presently streaming live on E360 TV, our YouTube channel, Laurie Davis Show Host. You just search that. And on our Facebook page, Self Worth the Missing Link Superstars. And I have a superstar with me today. Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show, Sylvia.
Thank you so much.
You're
Appreciate it.
welcome. Oh, me too. I'm excited for my listeners and my viewers to hear what you have to say. And I heard Sylvia speak some time ago, and she's known as the breath instigator.
Yeah.
And trust me, after the show today, you will never think about breathing in quite the same way.
Thank
And
you. I hope so.
Sylvia, I have to tell you, I've been practicing my deep breathing and every chance that I get. So
Sorry.
I don't want to waste any of your beautiful words of wisdom and messages. So why don't we just get familiar with you by having you share with us, what are you doing right now? What do you do? How do you spend your time?
How do I spend my time? Well, I spend my time trying to reach as many millions of people as I possibly can to teach them how to breathe more mindfully. And so, what I do, I'm a functional breathing coach, okay, and I'm certified. So, what I want people to understand is that we're breathing between 20,000 and 30,000 times every single day. Yeah.
What?
And it should be closer to 11,000. And why is that the case? Because we hyperventilate. We're only using a third of the capacity of our lungs, and our breathing is usually very shallow and very fast. And a lot of times people breathe through the mouth, which is really bad for us. So it's just creating the awareness around our breath, which is the most important thing we do every single day. End of subject, period. So my aim, my goal, my mission is to reach out to as many people as possible and for this to spread, because once you control your breath, you can control how stressed or not stressed you feel. It can actually help you bring your blood pressure down. Oxygen kills cancer cells, so that's something that people don't know. Very important. I mean, I could go on. So I have 5 hours to speak, right? Is that what you told me?
That's right. Well, we have almost an hour, so we can cover a lot of ground,
I
that's for
love it.
sure.
I love it.
And yeah, I'm very interested in whatever you have to share about the benefits. And I'm a cancer survivor. I had cancer last year.
I
And
believe that.
yeah, and
Oh,
I had a hysterectomy, but I came out of it beautifully. No treatments, no medication. The
okay.
doctors couldn't believe it. But again, early detection, and I had an amazing medical team. But at the same time, I remembered you saying that oxygen kills cancer cells. Like, whoa,
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
huge.
And those are things that people don't know, right?
Right.
So on top of being a certified breath coach, I'm also a certified integrative nutrition health coach. So
Okay.
I'm not a nutritionist, but what I do is help people take a look at their life. There's 12 different areas, like there's hydration, there's sleep, there's finances, there's relationships,
Yeah.
there's you name it, right?
Yeah.
It's a matter of just taking score of where you're at and seeing what areas of your life need a little bit of attention so that you can feel a little bit more balanced and happy in your life, right? And people think that in order to be healthier, you have to change your entire lifestyle, and that is absolutely bunkum, you know? And that
Hmm.
is where the breath comes in. Just by spending a few 5 to 10 minutes, as I was telling Laurie earlier today, in the morning before you get out of bed, if you do some of the exercises that I teach, which are very easy, and then get out of bed, your day will be a lot more focused. You'll be less uh,
Mm-hmm.
chaotic and anxious just because you will feel more in control. And as I said before, my aim is to help people learn about functional breathing, and that is breathing that you can do anytime, anywhere. You can be driving your car, and there's certain breaths that you shouldn't be doing when you're driving your car because it will relax you too much. But there's mindful breathing, right? So people, there's a misconception, Laurie. People think breathing is all about taking deep breaths, and first of all, is not a deep breath. Number one. But no, it's about learning how to breathe throughout the day so that instead of breathing 20 to 30,000 times a day, you're actually breathing closer to 11,000. So you're actually breathing less, but more efficiently, and
uh,
therefore oxygenating your breath, your cells, which is what the whole respiration movement is all about, right? Getting that oxygen to our cells so that they can metabolize, so that they can be healthy and live.
functional.
Right.
Mhm.
But, and this is where I get really excited because people think it's all about inhaling deeper, and it's actually more important to learn to exhale properly.
Okay. So can
Okay.
you give us an example of the proper way?
Well, for instance, people just, because we do such shallow breathing, a lot of times we're not actually exhaling all the carbon dioxide.
Right.
Okay. So what happens? We breathe in, that oxygen goes to our lungs, it gets transferred into the red blood cells, which then take the oxygen to the cells, right, through the blood circulation. Then at the cellular level, there's a gas exchange. The cells absorb the oxygen, metabolize, do whatever they need to do, and they release the byproduct, which is the carbon dioxide, which then goes back to the lungs and gets exhaled out, right? And people have the misconception that carbon dioxide is this bad thing that we need to keep getting out of our system. But the fact is that there needs to be enough carbon dioxide in our blood in order for the cells to be able to absorb the oxygen and utilize it.
Hmm.
Okay, so if there
Mhm.
isn't enough, what happens is that that oxygen does not get distributed properly.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, it's truly fascinating, and I don't have them here with me, Sylvia. Well, maybe they're on my desk. There's so many books out there, and I always tell people, look, get yourself some books and read. Because I'm a messenger. I'm trying to inspire people to get the message across so that people get inspired enough to get on their own breathing journey. And there's so many people who have written fantastic books. There's one called Breath, and it's by James Nestor. And it's a fantastic book where he's done research for about 3 decades, I think. So he's really talked to a whole lot of experts, doctors. He's done a whole lot of experiments on himself. And he talks a lot about the importance of nose breathing.
Hmm.
There's so many people who breathe through the mouth, and it's so bad for you. So when you breathe through the nose, you are filtering the air. There's nitric oxide that is being created in the nasal passage, so that goes into the lungs and helps with the absorption. It warms the air up. It kind of humidifies it a bit. So you can check for yourself. Take a breath through the nose. Okay. And now open your mouth and breathe through the nose.
Yeah.
Do you notice the difference? I mean,
Yeah.
sharp, it's dry, it's not
It doesn't feel like it's going anywhere.
exactly. So he talks, I mean, he goes into the whole nose breathing at large. And I mean, it's really fascinating. There's so much to learn. As you can see, I'm really passionate. And that's why I said, if I have 5 hours, I'll keep talking because I just love it so much. And there's so much. It's not just about taking a deep breath, right?
Right.
So the nose breathing. But coming back to the carbon dioxide, when you learn to exhale deeply and properly, that is when you really start getting everything working as it should. And of course, we come to the diaphragm, I mean, a deep breath is actually, if it's done properly, it's a diaphragmatic breath. So we're actually engaging that diaphragm, the muscle that controls the respiration movement, to actually do its work. I mean, a muscle, when you don't use it, what happens to it, right? It goes lax, it
Hmm.
loses its strength. And it's the same with the diaphragm. So once we start engaging it and teaching it, hey, this is what you were meant to be doing all along, I just got lazy with you, then we start helping the lungs expand also and take in more air, right? So I mean, it's just a whole little thing there.
So I'm interested in that reduction in the numbers that you mentioned. We're busy taking 20 to 30,000 breaths a day when we
Yeah,
really only should be taking 11.
yeah.
Tell me how we can get that down. Like, what are some ways that we
Mhm.
can start reducing that? I know the shallow breathing, but
Yeah, oh, it's terrible.
mhm.
Well, basically, you can come to my class and I'll teach you.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, but I mean, if you want, we can do just a quick little demonstration
Yeah.
so that
Sure.
you, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
then, just be very comfortable in your chair, feel supported, and close your eyes. And I'm going to guide you through what I tell people to do every day in the morning and in
Okay.
the evening. Okay,
I'm okay. I'm a good student. I'm paying
perfect.
attention.
I love it. So for a minute or two, I'm going to be very silent. But what I want you to do is to connect with your breath, first of all. Be aware of your breath. Don't judge it. Don't be saying, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that. People are looking at me, so I need, no. Just breathe in, breathe out, and be aware of what that breath feels like. Is it feeling warm, cold, moist, dry? How deep or not deep is it going? Is it easier to breathe in than out? Just notice it. So I'm going to be quiet for a little while.
Mm.
Okay. So what did you notice?
I could feel my chest moving.
Okay.
It was warm,
Mhm.
uh, steady, not one short breath and then one big breath. I
Mhm.
felt very steady. Um, yeah, it felt good.
Great. Good. So now the next step is, now we become the boss of our breath. So what we're going to start doing is taking a breath in, counting to 4, and exhaling to the same count of 4. So at this point in time, we're going to be doing what I call the equal breath. And we start with a count of 4, but the aim is to get to a count of 6. Because what
Okay.
happens, Laurie, when we're breathing 20,000, 30,000 times a day, we're breathing between 15 and 25 times per minute, okay? Because it's so shallow and
Mhm.
so where we start working now here is on controlling how we breathe in and out. So we're actually telling the breath, okay, I'm taking over here. The autonomic nervous system keeps us going, thank goodness. So now we're going to say, okay, now I'm going to take the steering wheel and I'm going to direct the breath. So I want you to start breathing to a count of 4 and exhale. Now, I don't know if you heard me when I exhale.
Mhm.
You can do it any way you want. And that's what I tell people. I want you to fall in love with your breath and play with your breath. So do it and see what feels good for you, because what might feel good for me may be a bit different for you, but it's a matter of you listening to your body. But I don't know if you've ever heard of ocean breath or ujjayi breath.
No.
Okay, so it's a type of breathing that, when you clean your glasses, you go and then you clean, right? It's kind of like that. So you're as opposed to, I mean, you can do it with your mouth closed too if you want, but it's opening the back of the throat a bit. What that does is it kind of like helps you rest a bit or calm down. Okay, so let's do counting to four, just very slowly. Okay, slowly.
Mhm. That takes some practice.
I know.
Okay, I'll try one.
And you're breathing too fast.
Okay.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
slower.
Okay. Slow, slow. Okay.
Check me out. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not moving. You're moving your head. Okay, so I want you to start thinking of just being very, very still. It needs to be effortless. Okay, it's not a matter of I'm going to be breathing. No, no, no. Precisely, it's a matter of just very slowly.
Okay.
Slow. Good. Keep going.
Mm. Wow.
If you can go to five.
Oh, well, that's for the next show.
Oh, you're funny. So anyway,
So
the
you do that, and then you work your way up to 6.
yes, and that is the goal, because when you get to a count of six and then exhaling to a count of six, you are doing what is called the coherent breath. The coherent breath is a breath that allows you to take about 6 or 7 breaths per minute as opposed to 15 to 25. And that is how you get from 20,000 to 11,000.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
In the beginning,
Mm.
it's a conscious thing. We have to consciously be doing
Right.
that.
Right.
Does there come a time where that becomes natural?
Yes. As you keep doing it more and more and checking I mean, it's all about creating awareness, right? That's where it all begins with everything.
Yes.
I mean, what am I doing? Oh, I need to change. Okay, how am I changing it? And it becomes effortless because it's almost like your body, you almost, I mean, I'm sure you've caught yourself holding your breath because you're so intent on doing something that all of a sudden you're not breathing, right? And it's like, oh my goodness, I'm not breathing. So
Mhm.
it's about creating that awareness of just, okay, breathe slow, breathe slow. And that is truly one of the most important things. If nothing else sticks to people's brain today, let it be that if you start breathing slower during the day, you're going to actually oxygenate your cells better because you're also making a conscious effort of exhaling longer.
Right.
Okay. And as I mentioned before, people are only focused on the inhaling. Oh, I take deep breaths. The deep exhale and holding the exhale is actually where it's really, really, really important, right?
Okay. Mhm.
So, what I teach, Laurie, is different types of breaths. There's about 4 different breaths that are called everyday breaths, and those that you can do early in the morning before you get out of bed or throughout the day. Then there's calming breaths. And with a calming breath, what happens is that there's the inhale and then a longer exhale. Okay, with a
Okay.
longer exhale comes the calming factor. because what you're doing is you're activating the vagus nerve. I'm sure you've heard of the vagus
Mhm,
nerve,
mhm.
which innervates the entire body. And the vagus nerve is the one that gets us into the parasympathetic nervous the parasympathetic nervous system takes over to help you calm down, rest, and restore and digest, and that whole mode, right? Which is where we where the body recuperates itself and gets back to health. So the calming breaths are very important for achieving that. Excuse me, but there's also uplifting breaths. And
Hmm.
the uplifting breaths are the opposite, where if you're feeling kind of like tired or lack of energy, these breaths are longer inhale and a sharp exhale. And what it does, it gets the blood circulating and it gets you energized. So, for instance, one of them goes like this, and I don't know that you can really see me, but you start with your hands right next to your shoulders, and then
Mhm.
as you go up, you're going to do your hands like that. So it's going to be
Oh, okay.
okay, and you do 10 to 20 of those, and before you know it, it's like, oh my gosh, I mean, I already feel the blood like woo, 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 woo. So those are called uplifting breaths, and there's 5 different ones.
Wow.
And then also creating the awareness around what we call natural urges, which are yawning and sighing. So if you watch a baby, Lori, how they breathe, a baby breathes how we should all be breathing, right? Because their stomach goes out and then it collapses. And the baby does it naturally because the body is born knowing how to do it properly. As we start growing up, we get to 9 or 10, it's like, oh, come on, stand up straight, tuck that tummy in. And we start going against what nature wants us to do.
Wow.
And the same happens with yawning and sighing, right? If you start sighing like, oh, how rude, or am I boring you? We start attaching meanings to these things.
Right.
We start suppressing them. So sighing is a way of releasing anxiety and stress, right? So what I teach is a very intentional kind of sighing. And you know Sabine Kaiser from Hartland?
Yes.
So she and her husband took one of my workshops and she says, oh, Sylvia, every morning we go walking in Dana Point and we're going like, ah, ah, and people are looking at her like, what is wrong with these people? But it's just a way of sighing and just shaking it out. And you immediately feel, if you feel very stressed or anxious, just do 4 or 5, ah, ah, and it kind of like shifts the energy, right?
Right.
And yawning, when you start yawning, what does that mean? It means that the body is needing more oxygen
Lack of oxygen to the
to
brain.
get that
Right.
vagus nerve activated and to be able to step into the rest and restore mode, right? So, yeah, okay, so you don't yawn with your mouth open in front of people. Okay, I get that. But if we allow ourselves to yawn fully, what a wonderful feeling it is, right? Because the body is finally getting that oxygen that it's starved for.
Mhm. Mhm.
So those are the different types of breaths that I teach. As I mentioned, there's
Wow.
a plethora of different modalities and techniques and things. Some of them are verging more on therapy than, like I tell you, I mean, I've seen pictures of people lying on the floor on mats and they're screaming and crying, and I don't know what kind of breaths they're doing. That's not what I teach, and I'm not a therapist, so I think that's more like a therapy kind of thing because I believe it's very helpful for a lot of people. So I'm not poo-pooing anything, you know. I mean, it's truly, it's a matter of truly creating awareness around what we're doing and
Well,
understanding
I've
the
yeah,
importance of it.
because, when did we as kids have parents, and not blaming parents for anything,
Mm,
but who actually ever taught us how to properly breathe other than by nature? And like
exactly.
you said, when those obstructions show up, it
Hmm.
changes our behaviors and what we do.
Totally.
So nobody's mom sat them down and said,
Yeah.
"This is how you breathe."
Exactly.
No.
Actually, I was maybe one of the few that did
Yes.
because
Yes.
my mom did yoga for a really long time, and actually my mom's dad, who was German, my grandfather, he had studied the 5 different types of yoga, Jnana
Okay.
Yoga, Bhakti, Kriya, Kundalini, and Hatha. And he moved in with us when I was 11 or 12 and lived with us for 7 years. And he was the one, Laurie, that taught me
Oh, wow.
about diaphragmatic breathing and different types of breaths. And I remember this man was amazing. He was from the northern part of Germany, Lübeck. He never had a cold. He truly never had a cold. He would have cold showers and he did his breath work. So ever since then, I've been telling people you need to breathe better and trying to teach people. And it wasn't until 2020, the first year of the pandemic, that a friend of mine who lives in Bali one day posted on Facebook, "I just became a certified breath coach," and I swear to you, it was like ding, 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 ding. The lights went up. Like, oh my God, this is what I'm meant to be doing with my life. So I got certified and I just love it because it's what we all do, Laurie, right? Every single human being on this earth, that's what we do every day. And we don't understand how important and how it's affecting every cell in our body.
Wow.
Yes.
Makes me want to just cut the show short and go to the park. No.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
No, let's
You go to the park, I'll go to the beach.
So when you offer your workshops, do you do those online or are they in person?
Both, both. I've
Both?
had
Okay.
patients, clients in Germany, in England, in
Yeah, I'm sure.
France, in
Right.
Mexico, and Canada, of course, the States, and I've also done a few in person.
Right.
So whatever people want. I mean, it's so easy that online is just as effective as in
Oh,
person,
yes. Yes.
quite honestly.
And do you do them like in a series or do you just do everything in one workshop? Tell us a little bit about how you run the workshop.
I do have different workshops. So the first one I created was for stress because that seems
Okay.
to be what people were dealing with and still are dealing with day in and
Totally.
day out, right? So those tend to be more like the calming breaths. Then I came up with the uplifting breaths workshop. So those are if you're feeling tired or lack of energy, these are the breaths that will help you feel better, more energized. I created one for dealing with pain because,
Oh, wow.
yeah, well, I don't know if do you have kids? Did you have kids or?
I didn't have any children, but
Oh,
my husband does, and we have grandchildren, yes,
okay, but
in our
you've
life.
had flamas or childbirth
No,
classes, right? So,
no,
okay, so basically, a way of having a child and dealing with a pain is through breath work.
that's right. You see
Okay.
that? Yes.
So it's very important to learn how to breathe properly to be able to control your pain. It's not necessarily going to make it go away, but it can certainly affect the way your nervous system processes that pain and deals with it, right? So there's one for pain, there's another one for migraine headaches and tension headaches.
Mm,
And then I had one for the holiday season, but that's mostly just to deal with stress again, right? So that's
mhm.
one of the most important ones, I think, because of our lifestyles and what everybody is dealing with and going through and whatnot.
Right.
And it's the way we react to the things that happen in our life that,
Absolutely.
right? I mean, a
Mhm,
thing happened and it's just that thing that happened, but it's how you react to it that is going to then have the
mhm. Yeah, for
repercussions.
sure.
So that's what I do. I also love to do private sessions. So I've had a lot of private sessions with people. I've done them also in person. I've done them on Zoom, and I'm not expensive. So my aim is to have people have a tool that they can use. And when they do a workshop, I send them a handout for them to print out. So then they have it to review because I want to create the awareness of the need for a habit. It's not, oh
Mhm,
yeah, I went to a workshop once and I learned this. No, no, no. I want you to practice what I'm teaching you so that starting tomorrow, early in the morning, you already have your tool So go back and read and see the exercises you did and just develop this daily awareness of, oh, how am I breathing? Oh, okay. And easy does it, because people think, oh, I don't have time to go. No. What do you mean you don't have time? You're breathing
Don't
anyway.
if you don't if you don't have time to do that correctly, your chances of being here for a long time are slimming down as well, right?
Very much so. Yes.
Mhm. Yes. Wow. Wow,
Yeah.
wow.
So that's what I do. I love to do public speaking. As you can
Yes.
see, no slouch. You get me going, and I'm so
Oh, no,
passionate
that's
about it that
awesome. Yeah, that's awesome.
so thank you.
Now what about at night when we're asleep? How do we breathe at night,
Ah,
would you say? Like, is that where we get a lot of those breaths in, or what would you have to say about, when you're in bed asleep,
well,
breathing?
what happens with night breathing is a lot of times that's when people do the mouth breathing, right? And
Ah,
there's a lot of people who snore. People think that the snoring is only a nose thing, but it isn't. There's also a throat snoring because the muscles collapse. So I'm a snorer, and what I started doing a year ago in this book by James Nestor, Breath, he mentions these little mouth tapes. I'm sure you've heard about them.
mhm.
So I decided to give it a try. And it's the easiest thing. It almost looks like a little transparent band-aid in the shape of an X. And I put it on my mouth when I go to bed. And I notice that I don't wake up. I maybe wake up once a night to go to the restroom, but I don't wake up with with a dry mouth like I used to. Um, and I tend to go to sleep and wake up in the same position. When I don't
Wow.
use the tapes, I find myself shifting a lot. And suddenly it's like, wow, okay, so it must be doing something. And you can get them on Amazon. There's a whole slew of different ones. But someone asked me the other day, what do you have to say about those? I think they're great. I mean, they've really helped me. And you just put it over your lips at night. It's
Mhm.
not like you're taping yourself up.
Yeah.
So it's very easy, very effective. And,
Wow.
and yeah, so there we go. I don't know that you necessarily breathe more because I think at night, precisely because you're um, resting, your body has taken over. It tends to be a more even
Mhm.
breath. I mean, the fact that your diaphragm is not doing its proper job during the day would also impact, obviously, right? But I do believe that at night, I mean, because you can see when someone is sleeping, their breathing is a lot more even. I don't know that it's necessarily deeper, but it's definitely not like during the day when we're stressed out and
Rushing around and
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Wow. Hmm.
So there we go. That's what I have to say about that.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, for instance, another thing that, and Kathleen Ronald, right?
Um, I
From
may or may not.
coaching. Okay, so she does a lot of coaching too, and she was at the heart thing. She was saying, you know what, maybe you need to consider doing a workshop for losing weight through breath work.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, well, of course. And I haven't really worked on it yet, but if you think about it, I mean, it's oxygen that is absorbed by the cells to metabolize the food, the nutrients that it's getting, right?
Yes.
When
That'd be
it's
amazing.
properly oxygenated, it tends to metabolize better.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, so when you exercise, you're necessarily breathing more.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and I'll bring this up because, I live in Canada.
right.
It's very, very cold here right now, and I know it's cold
Mm,
in California too right now.
mm,
But
it's
a
chilly.
concern that we have here is in the wintertime during those very, very deep dive freezing temperatures,
Mm,
we've had people develop when they're outside breathing, uh, the air crystallizes on the lungs, and so
wow.
we can't go. I couldn't go outside right now and take any kind of deep
No,
breaths or
no.
any kind of breaths that would. I'm
Sorry.
just bringing that up because of where I live. And so we
That's
don't want anybody going outside and trying to do that in that kind of weather.
right. Oh my goodness. Well, I had never heard of that.
Hmm.
'Cause I've always lived in warm weather.
Yes,
So,
right. Yeah.
wow. So then what do you do? How do you do? Just totally
Um,
cover yourself up when you go out?
yes, we would, because the temperature is cold enough to freeze the skin. So we wear, scarves or a mask with, just the eyes showing, or
Right.
uh, yeah, just to protect the skin more than anything else. But
Wow.
mhm,
Oh my
yeah.
goodness. Yeah,
Hmm.
I don't think I marvel at people who live in those temperatures because I don't know that I would be able to do it. My goodness.
Well,
Wow.
it's not all year round, of course. Like right now, it's January, so this is January, February is our coldest time, and it
Right.
will be like that for a couple of weeks, and then it starts to lighten up. But
Mm.
you can do a lot of damage to yourself in that kind of weather,
I would imagine so.
in a variety of ways. Frostbite, where you got to wear your mitts, and
Right. So, what I wanted to talk about, and there's, as I've mentioned, there's so many different types of breathing, and I don't know if you've heard of Wim Hof, the Iceman.
oh, okay,
Okay, you haven't heard about him?
no,
Okay,
is it
check him
I
out. The
the
Ice.
movie?
He's known as the Iceman, and I believe he's German. Wim Hof, Hoff, and he has been doing some amazing work. He basically takes people to really cold temperatures and has them submerge in ice cold water and do certain breathing techniques. I haven't studied here, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. I'm just mentioning it because he's very well known, and I believe a lot of what he teaches has to do with the deep sea divers that take a
Oh, yes, the
down for
seals.
like 15 minutes, right? So that has also got to do with the learning to control the how it goes in and how it goes out, and the carbon dioxide thing. That is such an important thing for us to understand.
Hmm.
There was a Dr. Buteyko at the beginning of the last century, the 20th century, and he did a lot of research on the whole carbon dioxide resistance. So he there's a test called the BOLT test, BOLT. It's body oxygen level test.
Okay.
Okay, BOLT. And basically, how you do it is you breathe normally, couple of breaths, and then you exhale, and then you start counting how long you can hold the exhale for.
I see. Hmm.
I could go a little bit longer. Sorry. But I go to about 20. The goal is to get to about 45 seconds of being able to hold that exhale. Yeah.
Wow.
So the longer,
Serious.
yeah, the longer you can hold that exhale, the better your levels of carbon dioxide in the blood are going to be. And that is mentioned in another great book called The Breathing Cure. So, I mean, there's a whole lot of really wonderful books, and I'm always learning and always reading more, and because it's such a deep thing, right? So that's why I say when people say, "Oh, I thought about you and took a deep breath," it's like, "Oh, well, thank you for thinking of me," but that's
Right.
really not what it's all about, right?
Yes.
Um,
We just
so,
need to create the habit.
right, and I apologize. My
No.
husband and I got sick for 3 weeks, and I still have this little tickle in my throat. I just cannot mm,
Yeah, I know.
get rid of it. So, yeah. Any other
Wow.
questions? I was going to say
Yeah.
something, and mm,
Oh, okay. No, I am intrigued by that, being able, how long it's, well, we would call it holding your breath, right?
Right, right.
That's what people would
Uh,
say. It's not good to hold your breath anymore.
yeah, and there's there's a very important reason why you want to take a deep breath, a diaphragmatic breath, and hold that breath, because when you hold that breath, you're actually helping your blood vessels expand and allow more oxygen into the bloodstream. Okay.
Wow.
And then you exhale, and then you hold that exhale, and that is where you are helping your carbon dioxide levels be what they should be, so that then the oxygen gets properly absorbed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So let's go to talking about um, situations where, for example, people with COPD,
Mhm.
and maybe it's stage 3 or stage 4, and they're on oxygen some of the time or most of the time, or what would you say about what do you have to say about that in terms of those clients or friends or family? Because there's so much of that now,
There is.
COPD, right?
Yeah.
And if we
So,
don't breathe properly when we can and we're healthy, how
mhm.
do we breathe properly with all that going on? What needs to happen?
Well, and this Dr. Buteyko did a lot of research into that. He actually helped a lot of people with asthma, with TB, maybe COPD. I don't know. I can't remember if it's mentioned that, but and it's truly all coming back to learning how to breathe slower and softer. Okay, because when I told you to start breathing, you immediately went,
Yeah.
okay,
Mhm.
so no, it's not that. It's just staying really, really quiet, very still, and breathing very softly in. So if you can start doing that, counting up to 3 if you can, and then up to 4, that alone can help tremendously. So there's a lot of breaths that should not be done by people who have pulmonary issues. But again, it's really about creating the awareness and the discipline of just breathing in slowly, exhaling slowly. If you can do that for about 5 or 10 minutes, you will feel a difference.
I know for a fact one of the things that happens, because I've had a couple of friends, one friend has passed away, but another friend, when they get to that place where they're struggling to breathe,
Yeah.
they tend to panic,
Yes.
right? They
Yep.
panic because that's very scary not to be able to breathe
Right.
properly or even breathe at all, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that wouldn't really support that, would it?
No. 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 But it's again, it all comes back to this whole thing of okay, I'm getting like that. Slow down. Just
Hmm.
slow down.
Hmm.
So because I think the more you try to, it's almost like it
Yes.
goes against it, right? So this is just about slowly in, slowly out, and just that alone just calms you down because you're doing it very softly. Okay, just feeling the air going in and out, and
Hmm.
that can have a huge impact on when people are starting to feel
Panic.
that. Yeah, and again, coming back to this COPD resistance thing, the more we can teach people to exhale deeper and hold that exhale for a little bit, you start exercising and helping that balance out the carbon dioxide level in the blood.
Hmm.
So I don't know if that answers your question, but
Yes, it
it's
certainly
totally
does.
all
Yes,
about that.
for
And
sure.
another thing is when people are starting to have like a panic attack, one of the easiest things to do, and oh yeah, I can get it out. Okay, I have a long, a long straw. have a straw handy, and if you start getting like a panic attack, you'll go, but really push that air out through the straw,
Oh, wow.
and that kind of like regulates things and helps you bring that panic attack under control.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I tell
That's
you, the
great.
breath is absolutely phenomenal and amazing, all the different things that we can achieve with it. Once we, I want to create the curiosity so that people do also their own research. And
Hmm.
nowadays, thank goodness, I mean, it's become more and more the buzzword, right? Oh, breathwork, breathwork. Yeah, that's fine. But a lot of people still misunderstand what breathwork is. I mean, breathwork is any time when you consciously make the effort to control your breathing in a certain way. So there can be
Hmm.
all sorts of different types of breath work, but it's about learning certain basics and then playing with it. And
Hmm.
one of the I don't know if you've heard of the box breath.
No.
Well, that is truly one of my most favorite breaths because it's phenomenal because it kind of like covers all the bases. So basically, what you do, and we haven't, because I'm not doing a proper class right now,
No.
right? We're
No. No.
just having a conversation, but I guide people through the breath awareness. First of all, be aware of your breath. Then we start working with the equal breath, which you did, counting up to 3 or 4. Hopefully, getting them to count to 5 or 6, because that's the aim. And then the next step is diaphragmatic breathing. So that's learning to breathe in and send the air down to your stomach so that it feels like it's blowing like a balloon. And then feel the chest. And then you empty the stomach first and you contract the stomach muscles and then the chest. So that's a diaphragmatic breath. I don't know if you've ever seen pictures of yogis and they almost look like the chest is concave. It's because they've learned to exhale properly, to exhale and to create that space for the carbon dioxide to do what it needs to do, right? So then after that, I teach them either the calming breaths or the uplifting. If they're feeling really sort of lacking energy, do the uplifting breaths. So that's basically what I want people to do, is to learn to do that every day. As I say, before you get out of bed, do 5 or 10 minutes of this. And then at bedtime, there's the longer exhales to help you relax and go to sleep better, right? But I was
Mhm.
talking about the box breath, which once you've done the diaphragmatic breath, and how it goes is like this: you breathe in deeply, hold, exhale, and hold the exhale.
Oh, wow.
While I'm holding the exhale, I'm contracting the stomach muscles and I'm actually emptying as much as I possibly can. I'm doing a deep exhale and then I breathe in again. Hold, exhale, hold, breathe in.
Wow.
You do 2 or 3 of those, and it's like magic. It's like, oof, okay,
Okay.
yeah,
I love that.
yep, yep, yep.
Wow. Now, when someone has those disorders, so let's say COPD, that's the one that's on my mind right now.
Yeah.
I see so much of that right now.
Mm,
And so these are people who smoked and perhaps their lungs are damaged. They have very low lung capacity.
yeah.
They've got 20% usage or 40%
Yeah.
usage. So our breathing exercises, like that one you just showed me,
Mm-hmm.
that really doesn't have anything to do with the lungs per se, does it? Until
With
you go
the
like
box breath?
the box breath. Like if you were to do that, would the question I guess is would that support a person, even if their lungs are damaged?
That would have to be a case by case, and there I need to be very
Yeah,
careful because that's
yeah,
almost verging on medical advice, right?
yeah.
As
But I
I
mean, it
said
wouldn't hurt
before,
them, or no?
depending on their state. Yeah, I
Okay,
mean, there are certain breaths that are best not done by certain people. There's
okay,
definitely
yeah,
risk of either, I don't know that it would necessarily hurt them, but they're not equipped to do it.
yes,
So as I say, it depends on each
yeah,
case and what their
yeah.
damage is.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Um, but thank goodness, I think more. Oh, and of course, I don't have the breather here. There's a little medical device, and I'm an affiliate. It's been used by, I mean, it's been around since the 1980s. It's recommended by doctors and physical therapists, and it's a little device that you blow into, breathe through, and blow out through. And you can, it has like a gauge for making it harder or softer. And it's actually a medical device to help people improve on their lung capacity.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's something that could be maybe tried by people like that.
Mm-hmm.
But as it is a medical device, maybe ask their doctors if they recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow. Yeah. Well, we have to breathe. I mean, it's not an option.
nope,
If we're not breathing, we're not alive. So,
exactly. Yep.
and right now I'm preferring the top of the ground versus the alternative, right?
Yes, but we're here. We have to make
Yeah,
it work.
that is correct. You have such an amazing pile of information. Like you said, we could talk for another 5 hours.
Oh gosh,
We
yeah.
have about 4 minutes. So, what
Okay.
I'd like to do is ask you, Sylvia, first of all, I want to thank you for being on the show. That's
Thank
always
you.
a pleasure for me to have a guest. And I like to have guests that are so totally credible and
Thank
have
you.
integrity and believe and are passionate about what they do. That
Yep.
makes a big difference in the way that an audience perceives who you are.
Right.
And we know that for sure, for sure.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
I have incredible guests, and you can go in, our viewers can go into E360 TV, just search the Dr. Laurie Davis show, and there's all of our episodes. We're now into season 6, and we have probably, I don't know, 175 episodes in the can. My goal is to have 1,000.
Yeah.
So we're getting there. It's taking time, but that's all right. So again, thank you, Sylvia.
Thank you.
Uh, oh,
Feel
yeah,
honored. I just wanted to
beautiful.
say my
Yeah.
website is www.breathandhealth.com as it reads on
Okay, because your
yeah.
name is in front of your website there. Okay,
Right.
perfect. Perfect.
Thank you.
So, if you had 2 minutes to speak to our audience out there and give them a word or two of encouragement, what might come up for you?
You're stronger than you think you are. How about
Oh,
that? Yes, I
oh,
love to empower people and understand that you can reach healthier states of being by making small little changes in your lifestyle. Breath work being number one, just because it's what you do every single day, day in and day out. Um, I'm, and I don't want to go into negative stuff here, but nowadays you turn the television on and it's all ads for medicine for this and medicine for that, and
oh,
we're being brainwashed
drives.
into thinking that every single thing that we feel needs a pill or a
Oh,
pharmaceutical of some sort.
I'm with you.
I was brought up in a very natural way, so I have confidence in the beautiful vehicle that God gave us, right? And it's equipped to keep itself healthy and in good
Yes.
shape. It's us that keep messing it up. So I definitely think we all have the power to lead healthier lives and improve on our well-being.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that would be my take. I can help you with that too if you want. I have to do a little
Yes, you do. You absolutely do. And I'm one of those natural girls myself too.
play.
Um, I've unless it's just absolutely a matter of life or death in the
Right.
moment.
Right,
Um,
right. There's
yeah,
a
that's it.
time and a place for that, and I'm not poo-pooing because my husband, as I told you, has been
Hmm.
dealing with health issues for a long time. So thanks to the
Hmm.
doctors, he's in good shape, right? But there's
Yeah,
a time and a place for that.
absolutely. All right. Well, our time is up, and thank you again, Sylvia, so very
Thank
much.
you. Thank
And
you.
you've been listening or watching the Laurie Davis Show, the Dr. Laurie Davis Show. And most of our viewers go in after it's been archived and watch the shows at their leisure. But we can share the show. And that's the one thing that only thing I ask for from my guests and from our audience is that you share the show.
Oh, yes.
Because the message today about breathing, I've got 3 people right now I'm going to share the show with specifically because
Right,
this is specific for them right now.
right, right.
So there's always somebody needing what we have, and our job is to get everybody connected.
Indeed,
So
indeed.
thank you for being here. There'll be a recorded show tomorrow. We will rerun one of our finance programs tomorrow because my co-host is away right now. And then on Wednesday, we're going to, I have a new co-host coming in, the former Grand Chief, Leonard Standing on the Road. And we're going to talk about, actually, this is very timely, Sylvia, because he's all about natural ways for people to heal. And his big thing is nutrition and good food for his people,
Oh,
his
yeah.
indigenous community. So
I love it.
that'll
Oh,
be a
I
very
love it. Yeah.
good show on Wednesday. And he's a longtime friend of mine as well. So,
How beautiful.
yeah, it's going to be great. So, we'll talk to you soon, ladies and gentlemen, and have a great week. I think this is a wonderful way to start off your week.
And
Bye
thank
for now.
you. Thank
Bye for
you.
now. Yeah.